Hi, I'm Self-Critical Chloe. So, as I mentioned the last time that I did a video, I really didn't like the way that I did hair for Vana Inara, and also, as I previously mentioned, one of the biggest things that I do for pretty much anything is I will sit there and watch just speed paints from other artists and sit there and learn and learn and learn and learn and learn. Um, just to kind of see maybe this person has a really good grasp on something or they do something that I like. Well, this week I ended up finding a speed paint that somebody was doing, and I wanted to try to replicate what they were doing with hair. So I just kind of drew a small bundle of hair for this one. Or I should say, kind of went strictly for painting a small bundle of hair. Um, but this is mostly just me trying to figure out the process for what they're doing. I kind of messed my layers up on this just because I put everything on the background, but for this particular purpose, it's completely fine, and it's not really going to affect anything. Now, overall, like, while I was looking at this, I actually thought that this would take me much longer than it did, and I was quite impressed that it took me like about 10 minutes to figure this out. So, definitely surprised there. Now, as far as I could tell, like in the video that they were doing, they used probably 3 or 4 layers to do the exact same thing that I do in 2 layers. So I'm not sure what it was taking them so many layers to do that for. Um, but then again, it's Photoshop, so I mean, there's like 15 different ways to do everything. So maybe they just had a particular way that they learned how to do it and uh, just kept on going with that method. So, but the biggest thing that I seen that they were doing is that it looked like they were using a soft brush, and then from that soft brush, it seemed like they started with larger strokes and then just gradually decreased the size um, down to as thin as they wanted the strands to go, and added in as many like small or large strands as they wanted, which I thought was really interesting. And it doesn't look all that great right now until they actually start adding, until I start adding in the second tone, because it was one of the things that I actually seen them do was they would pick 2 colors for their hair, which is something that I typically have not been doing. I've been picking 3 or 4 colors for my hair tones, and been working with that. And I would definitely say that the method that I found them using was definitely a lot easier and a lot more simple than what I initially do. Now, here what I'm doing is, again, just adding the second tone, adding it on a second layer, and purely just because if I do want to go back and adjust anything for the previous version, I could, or the previous layer, not version, I could easily adjust the previous layer. But for the most part, I'm pretty happy with the way that this is turning out. Just like this, and again, this was just meant to be like a quick bundle of hair. I wasn't trying to do anything specific with it. So this was more of just an experiment to see if I could replicate something that I seen in a speed paint. And this actually took me so little time and so little effort to do that I actually decided to do it in real time. So it's been pretty nice and amazing to have this entire process like mapped out like this. Now, for the most part right now, this doesn't look the greatest as it is. I mean, you can kind of see what I was going for, but it's not quite there. And I've seen some people that don't do the dodge and burning the way that I do, um, and still somehow come out with fantastic results. And I just haven't quite figured out how to do it those ways yet. So, I mean, until I figure it out and find a way that I like to do it, I mean, I guess this is my next step towards how I'm doing hair. And here I am just picking out the dodge and burn tools and just start adding various bits of light the throughout the hair, and it eventually does come together considerably more than what it is now. And in order to do that, I believe I eventually decided that the size of it needed to be slightly larger, but I guess I haven't done that yet. But just these couple of strokes that I'm adding right here, you can see that it's starting to get a more three-dimensional look, but not really by much. Uh, and so I decided to switch over to the burning tool because this is where I generally see more progress than anything is with this. Um, I'm not the greatest when it comes to picking out areas of light or what should shine and so on and so forth. Uh, I have a better understanding of where shadow and whatnot goes, so that's essentially what I'm using to my advantage here. Because I don't necessarily have like a great understanding of, oh, this is how light falls, this is how light is going to be affected, this is how this is going to be affected. Like, um, when I was learning to do all this, I didn't really learn from the perspective of, oh, well, this is how light works. Um, I learned from the perspective of, this is how shadows work. And but yeah, so I started from that perspective, and I don't know, it just seems to make more sense to me. And here I feel like some of those darker areas are starting to fall in the way that I want them to, which makes the lighter areas actually look a little bit more three-dimensional, or look a little bit better in general. So overall, I do think I'll end up using this method a little bit more. Definitely need to try it out a little bit more to try to refine it, but it was most definitely a lot easier than I thought it would be, and I like the end results. Well, anyways, if you like this video, please go ahead, like, comment, and subscribe, and feel free to enjoy the rest of it. Right, thank you.